Alright, so what is up everyone? Let me allow the stream Let's allow the stream to populate first, and then we can get to talking about what I was longing to talk about, but I wanted to allow the whole scene to kind of, simmer and mature. Well, mature is not the right word, but at least simmer a little bit before I discussed it. But today is that day where I will cover my complete opinions about DeFi, staking, liquidity mining, and the whole shebang. So stay tuned. Yep, but let's allow the stream to, kind of fill up a little bit before we get into it. We'll be covering charts of BTC, the next Q4's general direction on how to react, whether to trade, whether to invest, whether to stay and do nothing. That's kind of like where we're at the moment. We had a nice pullback in BTC. So, say hi if you're currently watching from wherever you are in the world. Hope you are well, especially during this whole non-traveling period where you can do probably interstate if your country is huge enough. Well, my country is relatively small, so obviously there's not much traveling other than going to to town to get some food, and then to the supermarket, sending the kids to school. Pretty much boring, guys. I really have nothing much to say about life and my lifestyle at the moment other than the usual shit. But you know what? We always have crypto, don't we? So anyway, what's up everyone? So I am going to be covering the general market scenario. I think right now BTC has just taken a very nice dip, but this dip is relatively crucial because in the event that we break certain key support levels, we could actually fall into a bearish scenario, right? So of course, bearish scenario will naturally not really do well for anyone who is holding BTC, Ethereum, altcoins, all right? So you will obviously not enjoy the ride down, but it presents itself with lots of buying opportunities. So I think that is something that we have to address. To me, every pullback is a chance for me to, discuss and of course, seek your opinion. I think it's more of like having a healthy discussion. So I'll be monitoring the chats as well. If you guys have questions, feel free to post it. If I miss some of your questions, please forgive me, because what I realized last time that since I'm a guy, right, I have very poor multitasking abilities. So if I'm focused on the content, I better stick to discussing the content and not miss out on key points that might be important to you. So right now, let's get to it. All right, so let me switch to the charts. Okay, so for now, we are seeing BTC drop. Okay, this is the one-day chart, right? So back in 2019, right, the June period, right, we had the peak, which is pretty much at 13, close to 14,000, but it did not make it there. And then from here, we are now experiencing pretty much the same key levels. 12K seems to be the resistance. So since 12K has not been breached, and not only that, there is a very strong sell down in the general market. But the good thing is that what I'm noticing is that the dominance is relatively low. That's coupled with the fact that much of the funds have been flowing to coins like Link. It's been flowing to it is been flowing to BTC, to be fair. Ethereum, obviously, and US dollar Tether. So that's been pretty much soaking up much of the overall market cap. All right. So my conditions were pretty specific, where I wanted to see the BTC dominance drop below 60%, which it has, and that kind of signaled the initial run. So obviously, if you had been accumulating since November, December, you would have had quite a nice run up till recently. And I did mention in my group that profit taking would be relatively important because we are now at this key level. So I hope everyone can see. I know the colors are maybe not as favorable, but I wanted to put the colors there to kind of illustrate the respective scenarios. So based on my last video, I actually mentioned that you can't predict where the market will be headed, but at least you can kind of anticipate and judge and at least do some risk management for yourself in the event that these three scenarios play out. Okay, so it's very straightforward. Bullish market usually is fantastic for swing trading, and obviously you put in capital for those quick flips. Okay, that's what we've been doing, okay, all the while. But right now it seems to me like we might be hitting neutral to bearish territory. Okay, so in the event that we hit neutral, I think a lot of dollar cost averaging come range bound trading, swing trades are still valid, but I would reduce the positions in a sense that I will not be as aggressive. I would actually perhaps reduce my trade sizes down by 25 to 30%. At that time when it was more bullish, naturally I would be more full on, I'll be more committed in the trades, meaning that the ticket sizes or bet sizes, as they say, or trade sizes will be significantly more. But now, having said that, we have to adjust. So crypto is never a one-way, simple buy and hold, dollar cost averaging strategy all the time. Sometimes you have to adjust and adopt, right? So in the event that we go range bound, actually that will be short term not so good for altcoins, but it's going to be awesome in the long run, because if we actually take the neutral position right here where we sideways trend on BTC, right, everything else will start to move. Okay, it's very normal. So people who do not know how to trade obviously will want to look towards the whole staking DeFi space for solutions and options, and you are able to see that right now, especially if you're able to access Huobi, you're able to access Binance. Now I understand a large part of my subscriber base are from the US, and you are not able to have access to Binance or Huobi, hence you are using other alternative options like Uniswap, for example. But Uniswap at the moment doesn't provide much staking. It's just basically a straightforward swap in a sense that you are able to now have access to tokens. But the bad thing about that is that you have to toggle between, if you do know how to look at charts and you do how to monitor levels, you would ask yourself whether are you buying it at the right price. Now, the right price is always questionable because in crypto, it's always speculative. It's hard to determine a floor value, or it's also very difficult to determine what could potentially be the peak. Now, these are things that till this very day are not, we are not able to ascertain the actual intrinsic value other than perhaps knowing what was the ICO price, what's the overall average price that every batch of pre-sale, private sale investors, if the cryptocurrency had declared that in quite transparently, especially you can look at it in Messari.io. I think that's a very good website to look at, where you can Messari.io, you can practically see the various white papers, a little bit of the profile of the cryptocurrencies, and also they even include the pre-sales matrix, how much did the pre-sales folks got in at, what is the reserve holding of the token, what it does in general, that kind of stuff. Now, that's the problem, right? Because you kind of have to toggle in between all these tabs, and a relatively new individual, let's say you just entered in the past 6 months, right? You have to learn a lot of things relatively quickly. Whereas, of course, folks like us who have been since 2017, 2016, that kind of time frame, right? You kind of adapt along the way, right? So the theme, so a very quick one, the theme right now is DeFi plus staking. Potentially going towards liquidity mining to provide liquidity and market making for the whole DeFi or decentralized exchanges, right? Because DEXs usually have very poor liquidity. They don't have great market making, right? They don't have tight spreads like the centralized exchanges, but it does have its benefits, which is why people are very big on it at the moment. And a lot of the tokens, you name it, OMG, Kyber Network, Link, Algorand, all these tokens, right? These are just to name a few. But to be frank, any network, right? And of course, if you want to get direct exposure to DeFi or DEX, right? Just buy Ethereum. Just to be frank, just buy Ethereum. It's the most straightforward, straight up. But will it give you the best ROI? That's still yet to be determined, right? Nobody knows that. But overall, I must say that the whole space heats up based on, I guess, many random things. 2018 to 2019 was kind of like ICO come STO that didn't happen, and then IEO was trying to kind of kick things off, didn't happen as well. Finally, there's a real catalyst that kind of gets the market a little bit excited, but technical resistance will always kick in, hence the sell down at 12K. So this will be my go-to chart, right? And I think this chart is going to be very simple for everybody to understand and what you need to do. So I'm just going to cover everything very generally. I'm not going to give you specifics to like what token to buy and everything like that, because I don't want to step on any cult following or community toes, right? For me, I'm all about the profit. At the end of the day, I do have long-term, mid-term, and short-term positions, just like everyone in my private group. My clients are all the same. I, for one, disclaimer, I do not manage anybody's assets. I teach you how to fish, and that is just about it. Because I like my life, I like it simple, and I don't like any kind of complexity. So let's get to it, guys. Right, so let's cover the whole neutral, sideways, and bearish scenario first. So as I mentioned, and maybe I shall just remove this for the time being, I don't want to get rid of it. So since this is clearly a head and shoulders kind of pattern forming, right? And it breached and broke the infamous 11,300 support level. Now, looking at this chart, obviously it always looks quite bad, right? Especially when you have this very, very strong sell down in BTC. Obviously there will be key FIPS traders, right? That means folks who are looking at support levels wanting to go long. Now, nothing wrong. Like I said, nobody knows. I cannot tell you that it's time to go long. But one thing I love about a certain indicator, which is the RSI, which is the Relative Strength Index. And for the longest time, I've never switched anything. OBV, RSI, Fibonacci are your friend, right? I always keep things very simple for myself. I have two kids, one very small one and one driving me nuts one. So both are driving me nuts. So I always like to keep things very easy for myself. So right now, the RSI on most cryptocurrencies on the daily are starting to become oversold, right? So once they become oversold, to me, that's a buying opportunity. But the next thing that you have to observe is what is the on-base volume or the daily volume? Has it been dipping? Is it even transparent? Is it clean, Ryan? To be frank, I would say that a large part is always involving market making. The volume could just suddenly just dry up overnight. And that's just the thing about crypto, right? The moment liquidity dries up in a particular token, you're going to have trouble. So I always advocate making sure that you trade with capital that you can control. That meaning that you don't get too overly excited, because there's always another trade. Okay, there's never a time when there's a lack of opportunities in the crypto space. Okay, with thousands of tokens now, with different themes that change almost every year, man, it's like, fashion week. It's always something new for us to talk about and discuss and get excited. But is there anything behind DeFi? So I'm going to also cover that as well. So guys, remind me, right? Talk about DeFi, the pros and cons, what I see, what are the flaws, what are the risks involved in DeFi, staking, liquidity mining, what are the flaws? I already have everything there. I already planned everything, but I just want to cover the technicals first. So now, if let's say BTC just continues to plummet, right? And I would say obviously a strong support is definitely going to be the 9K region, okay? But 9K region being said, okay, if we hold, and I really would want it to hold, right? Because when you hold it at the 9K region means that you're going to see a higher high. That's very, very important. And having a pullback like this one is important. You must have a pullback. You cannot just have the whole market just continuing to trend up. So let's remove this bearish one first, and let's take a look. Okay, so what is the level that I'm expecting? Okay, so in this bullish scenario, right? Okay, let's shift it up a little bit. Unfortunately, we have already slightly went below the long-term channel, the bullish channel for BTC. Okay, so this is literally at 10,007. Okay, it's very interesting. So if price holds and everything remains supported, guys, all your long-term alt positions are going to be fantastic, because, well, the trend is your friend. You don't do any shorts, you don't get crazy, you just continue and hold, everything will be fine. Very straightforward. Now, unfortunately, let's talk about what's bad, right? What's potentially bad, which is the downward trend. And now I'm following the downward trend because, guys, it's not like I made it up. Look at what happened in June just last year, right? And everything started to just collapse, right? And so could this also be a potential move downwards, right? And nobody knows. Like I said, where is the support? Obviously, you want to see a higher high. You don't want to see 4, 5K. 6, I mean, look, if it's 6K, 7K, and you're someone new to the market, fantastic. This is the best opportunity to buy. That is the regions that you want to look out for. You want to set your orders there. That's fantastic. That's where I'll look at. I feel that you coming in and buying right now is not favorable for you, especially if you're only having access and you only know Ethereum and BTC. It's not the most favorable, okay? Just not the most favorable. You don't have to listen to whatever anyone says. It's just not favorable from a technical standpoint. I realize that a lot of people are very unaware of these things, right? Which is the intra-year movements or the intra-month movements. They don't give a shit because when they see articles like Ethereum is long overdue, they see a tweet, for example, or someone famous long overdue for $1,000 move to a move to 1,000. Okay, so to them, they'll be like, oh, wow, what's Ethereum's price now? This is literally how I've been having discussions with new folks because there are so many people who are contacting me right now through Facebook and PMing me, hey, do you think it's great to buy Ethereum, BTC, and stuff like that? Or they bought BTC or Ethereum long ago during the bull run and they didn't look at it, right? Because, they put very little in it and, they kind of didn't give a shit, right? Buy 1, 2 Ethereum and they've kind of forgot about it. But right now, they started to get a little bit excited because the value started to come up. They caught wind that, prices are starting to move up. There's this whole DeFi space that is heated up the market. Okay, to us, it's just it's just one of those things, right? How sustainable? Nobody can really tell you. Because at this point of time, I feel that we should just focus on the TA first, okay? Since there's no way that you can validate anything in terms of security of the DeFi platforms, you cannot validate whether or not it is safe, whether are they secure. Nobody can tell you that because I foresee, right, how this whole thing will, as they say, shit hits the fan, will be when a DeFi platform just gets compromised. Now, can it happen? Or can a staking platform actually get compromised? I guarantee so. Hackers are already on the lookout because they know that there's going to be such a consolidation of funds at some point, right? And I think it will not happen to the DEXs because the DEXs are just a platform, right? Buy, sell, okay? But what's going to happen for that? Okay, if a credible DEX, okay, so let's talk about that first. So a credible DEX will never probably have any issues because they don't hold your tokens. It is just a straight up swap. Okay, so wallet to wallet, you have no issue. Now, but what is the key concern here? People will use any type of DEX, right? If you don't do enough research, you will instead of go, okay, now you see, when I caught wind, I also caught wind of it, right? Uniswap. Everybody's talking about Uniswap. So how reliable? Okay, I will usually ask the ones who are developers, who are just the longest in the space, and they say, okay, so far Uniswap is the place to go. Okay, fine. So we start testing out with small amounts. But personally, I always diversify. I will never buy solely everything from Uniswap. I will just buy and try a little bit, right? But I still keep most of my other stuff. You have your Coinbase, you have your Binance, you have your Gemini, you have your Huobi. You keep it diversified. In the event that someone has some compromise, and of course, naturally, your cold wallet, right? It's important to have your cold wallet, your Trezors, your Ledger. All these things are still the stuff that you have to manage. So to me, has a lot of things changed? I would say that wallet accessibility and functionality has kind of improved. The interface is cleaner. It's much easier for people to use. You now can buy with your credit card on most platforms. But I would still say people are still very much unaware on how to store or at least keep it safe. Especially when you get too excited to buy, you forgot to look at all these things, right? Security is number one at the end of the day, because the moment you lose your tokens, you are out of the game. you lose your whole morale, you lose your savings or whatever, and it's just a bad experience, right? So I think all these things have to be advocated. And as much as possible, I hope that whichever YouTuber you're following, influencer, has always been kind of reminding you on all this. Anyway, okay. So as I was saying, right now, I'm very concerned about too many platforms claiming that they are DeFi platforms and offering exorbitantly high annual returns. Now, when you see such annual returns, right, you are immediately attracted to it, right? Because right now, the daily savings rate in your accounts is horrible, right? So the alternative, and that being said, right, stimulus packages are going to be announced because clearly the economy needs it, right? So it's going to further devalue most fiat currencies, and that is going to drive it into assets, right? Any kind of assets. I tell you, it can be in property, it could potentially just go to gold, silver, the stock market even. Yes, the overvalued stock market. Now, Tesla has been doing crazy at the moment. Zoom communications just literally went through the roof with better profit overall. I think it's a very exciting time. To be very frank, it's very, very exciting. But the question is, where are you going to put your money, right? So I would always just focus on what I know best. To me, it's crypto. So right now, when I look at this whole space, the opportunity comes from the fact that I see a sustainable movement here. Because more and more people are definitely going to start staking. That's something I already see happening already. And more people are staking because it's just more straightforward. I'm getting a higher return overall, right? Compared to me leaving my fiat in the bank, right? So I'm already buying the token. Now, the token can give me anywhere from 5, 6, 7, 8% or even higher on certain circumstances. But don't forget, that is just more tokens that are going to be coming into supply, right? So the problem with that is, where does the token get its price from? Obviously, just the market, right? The market determines the price. There's no way that you can tell me that there's any revenue or profit being thrown back to it. Only exchanges at this current point are making enough revenue and making enough profit to kind of buy back the tokens from the market. That makes a lot of sense. Whereas when you look at everything else, at the moment, they are all trying. They are figuring it out on how profitable potentially could my DEX be, my DeFi solutions, or my DeFi investment offerings, right? These are all DeFi platforms. DeFi platforms, and by the way, and exchanges function very differently. But exchanges also take on the role where they want to offer all these solutions, a one-stop shop. In fact, to me, exchanges are becoming like banks, or they're trying to function in that gray area, okay, which is very, very tricky and very, very interesting at the same time, because here they are trying to follow regulations, but they are offering a lot of unique investment opportunities: ETF, margin trading, spot trading. I mean, spot trading is more straightforward. Then from then you have staking, right? You have the whole lending that is occurring right now. If you kind of open up a Huobi or Binance account, you can see so many functionalities and options. It's pretty crazy, guys, right? Like right now, if you want to if you want to kind of lend BTC, you can. You want to lend US dollar Tether, because why? There are so many margin traders and speculators in the current environment that there's always need for USDT or BTC. So if you are someone who is, someone who just wants to hodl your BTC, you want to hodl your US dollar Tether, and you just want to earn an interest, that is just an option for you. That means you don't want to you don't want to be involved in all this volatility. You just want to hodl, buy and hold. Now you can, right? So I feel that although that we might drop into the bearish channel, very much potentially, but I feel that the levels will be more sustainable, because right now there's an incentive to hold. In the past, as the only way that you can kind of earn BTC is two ways. You are either a miner, that means you are literally just getting new BTC all the time from from the algorithm, and of course you earning it for creating a new block. But now, as a hodler, right? The second way is trading, right? You trade an altcoin, you go in and out from fiat BTC, and then you trade and you earn more satoshis. The third way, which was never available, was earning an interest on BTC. That means right now, when you put in BTC, you earn. The last time you kind of could do it on Poloniex, but after a while people were a bit worried on Poloniex where you kind of put in and stake your BTC but you were not able to earn. And then after Poloniex had a whole issue and then that kind of shut down and stopped. So right now you can just hold your BTC, do nothing, and you get something. So I think this trend is catching on, hence the whole DeFi staking, and staking was important. So staking, on the other hand, right now is becoming a very popular trend where a lot of, not just, Coinbase already started it, right? Coinbase already has custodial staking. So Coinbase is big because it offers more opportunities to all US citizens, whereas you look at Binance and Huobi, they had to cut out the whole US market until there's certain regulatory approvals, and I see that most of the Binance US or Huobi US is not fantastic. Most of the main volume is still on Coinbase, and well, that's just the way it is, right? Because every market wants to protect its interests. So now that I see this whole space kind of starting to emerge, right? Still large part speculative, okay, but truly very exciting. So now what am I considering? To me, the scenario is this. If BTC drops, I would say that what happens at 9K? Now, let's put the number there. What happens at 9K? Firstly, all your current holdings are obliterated, okay? Obliterated. But if you have a dollar cost averaging strategy in place, you don't give a shit about that happening. In fact, it gives you more opportunities to buy. Hence, the dollar cost averaging strategy will automatically have to kick in. You start looking through your list, which I hope you have kind of created a watch list on what you need to buy, and then from then you just slowly start picking off, and you just do this for the whole period until this whole market decides to really pop off and go above 500B, because we have been in this 350 below 350 market cap for the longest time, guys. I really don't care what happens in the top 15, top 10, who switches who overtakes who, flippening. I don't give a shit, guys. Seriously, I don't give a shit. I make money whether is it bear or bull market. I really don't give a shit. As long as we all make money, we are all happy. So right now, once you see this scenario happening, and this is the scenario that I want, because you know why? I don't want people to sit at the sidelines and do nothing, or they kind of are watching, because you didn't get in 2017. Okay, fine. 2018 was just too quiet. Everybody got, your friends probably lost their pants, their underwear and everything. So you obviously you kind of took a seat back. 2019 happened. There's this opportunity to buy, but obviously because your friends are not in, you don't want to listen. Maybe also your life caught on. The whole COVID-19 came about. Everybody's busy scrambling, wondering whether they'll still have to keep their job. Now the opportunity presents itself yet again, potentially. And what I'm going to tell you right now, guys, since you're still watching, most altcoins are higher already, very much higher. They was just so attractive in the periods of November, December of 2019, March, and then obviously during the whole period of 2018, right? 2018, this whole period was very attractive as well. Right now, it is one of those times again. It is potentially coming back to that same level. So the question is, what are you going to emphasize on? I think DeFi, okay, any coin, right, that has 5 to 6%, naturally that's the way to go, okay? The only question is it available on Coinbase? If it's not, it could potentially be listed on Coinbase. Yes, you might want to put and have a position in those as well. Like I said, it's always speculative. You don't have to always bank for the fact that there's anything intrinsically happening or any kind of fundamental. Look, guys, I know that there are people who focus on fundamentals a lot, but I don't think that that's something that I focus on much these days, because most of the time when I read the white paper, I read the story, the backstory. They will always say they have great teams, they have great marketing, they have lots of use cases or trying to build use cases. The community is fantastic. An old soldier like me doesn't give a shit about all these fancy shiny balls lah. You know what I'm saying? So to me, let's just react. Like I tell my guys, just react. Let's hope that the market will be in our favor. We prep for the various scenarios. Let me just put this back. Let's prep for the various scenarios and hope for the best. Okay. Now let's talk about DeFi. Okay. So the risks that I see in the whole DeFi space. Okay. Like I said, I'm very concerned about people who are very new. okay, because they are buying in with fiat. Okay, so let's say they bought BTC at this current price point, right? Because they don't know any better. They buy BTC, they buy Ethereum. Now they see that there is an interest being provided on these various platforms, and they put it in, right? They start staking. And they get an interest. Okay, they get an interest. They're very happy. Okay, they're very happy with this interest. It's relatively attractive. But my question to them would be: is that platform insuring you in any way, right? And most likely they are not. Okay, they don't have that kind of liquidity, neither do they have that kind of backing to insure anything, because it's a decentralized finance, right? It's a DeFi platform already, because it's really your own owners. Now, you have, of course, larger institutions, or at least you see like for example, Compound. Compound is offering you the yield hunting or yield mining kind of products, where, okay, let me give you 6% on this very boring stable coin or this very low volatility token. Okay, then you're very happy. But you notice that you can take out a small portion of that. That means you have further asset backing or asset lending. So for example, you come in with 100 grand. Okay, you come in with 100 grand, you put it into a stablecoin offering, for example, or at least a token that is in their approved list that gives a very conservative single-digit return on an annual basis. But you notice a double-digit return on something else, which is token B, for example. Token B gives you a double-digit return, and then you ask yourself, shit, I don't have that much funds left. But don't worry, Mr. Customer, we are going to offer you a 30% to 40%, even up to 50% from the placement that you have done with us, so that you can participate in token B. Wow, that sounds fantastic. I'll take that option up. So this is where it gets very interesting. What is the mechanism that protects the platform from losing money? Because there is always volatility involved, right? And obviously there has to be certain kind of fail safes to protect the platform. End of the day, customer will always bear the full risk. Okay, the platform, I guess at the end of the day, is only responsible for at least keeping your tokens safe, but they are never there to guarantee any kind of retention of value. Okay, they're not gonna do that for you. So, moral of the story is, you have to be a little bit more cautious, especially when you know that it's a house of cards, right? And if one token decides to just flop, right, the whole chain reaction will just have a domino effect, and that could be very detrimental on your position in that particular instrument. But it's just the way it is. Now, for DEXs, okay, so for DEXs is very straightforward. I don't really feel that I should elaborate much, but there's liquidity mining, which is going to be very interesting. Okay, so liquidity mining is very simple, because at the moment DEXs do not have ample liquidity. And for any cryptocurrency, so for example, let's talk about maybe something more obscure. Let's say an obscure cryptocurrency that has low volume. Okay, you will see that the spread when you do a swap, right, is tentatively high. It can go up to 2%, 3%. That means you're paying potentially a 3% spread just to buy that particular cryptocurrency, which is considered high. But in the grand scheme of things, if you believe that the token can do better than your 3%, then it's fine, right? Because at the end of the day, it's just the way it is, right? You can't always have everything, because maybe you don't have access to a particular exchange that has this token. But right now, if you want to buy, you can go to Uniswap, and as long as there's someone market making for that particular token and providing the liquidity for that particular token, you can buy. Nobody's gonna stop you. That's the kind of the beauty behind the whole DeFi DEXs, right? Decentralized exchange. I keep adding this DeFi shit, you see? So anyway, okay, so since that is available to you, you have to observe what is the spread, right? There are some that are very tight spreads on a DEX, which is quite impressive. And when you see the DEXs have very tight spreads, you kind of like you're not paying a premium. Let's just put it that way. But the problem with a DEX is that there's no limit order buy. You cannot queue. You only can hope that the prices drop and everything starts to adjust, and then you can swap the tokens accordingly for what you have. right? So yeah, it's very straightforward, no? So let's say, for example, if you kind of need to do that, you need to toggle between, say, TradingView come Coinergy, and then you say, oh, okay, I have US dollar tether, I want to swap for algo, for example, and algo is maybe at 40 cents. Okay, then you just swap at that current point with Uniswap, right? So no one's going to stop you. But it's just troublesome, you know what I mean? Because a central exchange, right? Binance, Huobi, Coinbase Pro, they all have charting tools. At least you kind of can identify where you're at, right? And you don't go in blind. I think that's very important. Don't go in blind, guys, because you're putting in money here, you know. And what I realize is that people get so excited to buy that they kind of forget about basically the potential pitfalls that could happen. Yeah, but I would say that right now, let me see whether there's any questions. Hey, let's see Ethan. Okay, Ethan, he's saying that you probably spoke about it. What's your point of view about exchange coins, BNB and HT, because they keep burning because of the big profits they do? Okay, in a bear market, they keep generating revenue. It seems that it's perpetual bull run for them. That's my point. Okay, Etienne, right? Etienne. Okay, so Etienne, what you're saying is completely correct, right? Exchanges function in that way because no matter what kind of market, right, they should still be generating revenue, okay? And because it's a so crypto market is very unique. It's a 365 24/7 market. There's no sleep. Until now, stock exchanges still have weekend, right? The forex market still has a weekend. So 2 days every week they are not generating revenue. Okay, that's profit loss there. Whereas crypto is like 24/7, they are making money all the time. And there's only more and more people stepping into the space. All right. And as people become more well-to-do, more well-versed, you tend to trade larger as well, right? And of course, naturally, at some point, you also are more maybe receptive to risk and you start trading and looking at the margin or derivatives market, or maybe just putting it to an ETF. All these are now currently available. So they are making money all over the place, guys. So you are bringing up a very good point. And I mentioned that just before, and I didn't see this question. That's why I am still big on holding HT or BNB, because that's the kind of closest thing we have to an actual profitable token. Now, if you say that, is there any relation to assets or whatever? No, there's nothing. Okay, this is not a stock. A token is a token. Okay, if there is an acquisition of Binance or Huobi by some large company, the tokens, more likely than not, they're not going to honor the tokens. Okay, it's always about the shares, and that's the risk that every single token holder has to face. Okay, you cannot avoid it. Okay, you cannot avoid it. But at least in the meantime, apart from the incentives as offsetting trading fees, okay, that's what usually most exchange tokens do, right? They offset your trading fees. The more you hold with them, the lesser you pay for your maker or your taker fees, all right? Whereas there are tokens like MCO and Crow, for example, right? MCO is crypto.com, right? Where you can easily, MCO? Wait, MCO and, okay, anyway, MCO, Crow, crypto.com, right? So you have the whole credit card coming out where you can sell off your cryptocurrency, top it up with US dollars, and then you can start spending. But the card, I don't think is out yet, right? You're still in the ordering or pre-sales stage where you can order, so you can start staking Crow, I think. Yeah, start staking Crow, CRO. And then from then, you can earn, right? It's like the fuel like that, and then you can exchange. So it's all very interesting. What are your thoughts on how long this DeFi bubble will last? Kelvin Q. You know what, Kelvin? I think at the end of the day, we just ride the momentum. There's no way. Okay, to me, I feel that there has to be steps taken in the market on how long. Okay, market trend, guys, it could always flop overnight. Okay, let's be very frank. Okay, all these trends can flop overnight. It all depends on how many people are interested in staking at this point of time, and then from there, what are what's the total use case? Like, the use case is very important. And like I said, if there's no real use case other than holding and capital appreciation, then it's always best to just stick to the old school stuff. The old school stuff will always never go out of fashion, as they say. That's why people always still go to Bitcoin, no matter what price. They maybe buy high, or they bought low or whatever. But Bitcoin, usually the likelihood of it going to zero is very, very low, because it's still it's a killer app. Money. It's money, guys. So that's why it's a killer app. That's the application. Okay, let me see. Right time to do dollar cost averaging on BTC now or buy big? Tan. Wait. Oh, okay. Tan. Xingliang. Okay, Xingliang, buying big, no. Dollar cost averaging, yes. I would always say that getting a position. Look, to me, 5-figure BTC. My question is why? Is the whole world that rich suddenly that they are receptive to buying a 5-figure BTC? Obviously, yes. The whole thing around, no, Ryan, I don't have to buy one. I can buy a fraction of it. Guys, nobody wants to own a fraction of a BTC. Everybody wants to buy a whole BTC, because that's when you are, you just feel good about yourself having a whole BTC, right? But that's the trend. People want to buy the whole thing. You can buy fractions of it, totally fine. But is it the best time? I wouldn't touch BTC at this point of time. Yeah. Ryan, are you buying the dip, and what are you buying, and what is your portfolio mix now? Haha, Dragon Maiden. To me, I will not discuss the overall mix. Am I buying now? Yes, on a few of my altcoins, and my long-term holds are looking very, very attractive. I'm taking small bite-sized positions at the moment, but I'm not gonna go big on anything, because right now, like I said, we are literally at this crossroad, right? It can either, it can go either way. It could just suddenly just bounce off this long-term channel and start moving upwards, which is fantastic for anyone who is picking it up at this point in time. But it is still a high-risk position, right? So if it breaks through this, which is now currently, it's currently at a support level as we speak, 10,500 is already at one of the support levels. Once it breaches, right, then it gets very interesting, and then it's the start of the bearish channel already. It's the start of the bearish channel already. The moment it's already in the bearish channel. See, guys, while we're having this Friday night discussion, it's already in the bearish channel already. Okay. What are you buying? For me, like I said, I don't discuss all the long-term stuff here, because like I said, we cover that only in the private group. So nothing is, because I don't want you to be buying and in the end you're buying it at the wrong point. Okay, people who have been buying with me in my private group, they have been with me for 1 year, 2 years, 6 months. At least they understand my fundamentals. So hence, I will never outrightly mention a particular token. I don't want to be that person who is endorsing anything either. So I'm not going to be mentioning that. Okay, yes, what you buying all through all 2 years? Yes, was buying all through the. Okay, great. All right, guys. So that is pretty much all I have to say. It's quite a simple video, very, very straightforward, very easy to understand. Hopefully everybody kind of has a rough idea on my take on DeFi, liquidity mining, staking, and at the same time the core risk. I think the risk is always on the platform itself. So please be watchful. If you decide to enter any kind of DeFi related platform, right? Always work with a amount of funds that you really are not going to require for anytime soon, because speculatively we're all still in a very speculative market. It's like I said, it is a bubble. It could potentially also burst, but it could actually help to sustain the market, because with staking, right, you are helping prices you are helping most tokens, or the tokens that are being offered, remain supported. That means there will be a new price support, because people will just stake, leave it there and do nothing. Okay, they would and you hope that they just keep buying and buying and buying. ICO at the moment, I don't think many people are doing that. So that's potentially, I guess, a space that we can start to revisit, because when people are not looking at it, it's always good to kind of take a look at it and see what's out there. But same thing, I noticed that most ICOs are having longer lock-in periods. So for example, even after you buy, okay, so let's say you are a private investor, you get in during the pre-sales, you do your KYC, you do your full AI declaration, and so on and so forth. Your token release will be many years, like at least minimum to 24 to 36 months locking period. Gone are the days where they give you your full allocation on the spot. They're not that dumb anymore. So you can't dump. You don't have the opportunity to dump. So in that aspect, my strategy would be look at it, right? Look at that potential ICO, and when it launches on the market, right? If it's below or very close to the ICO price, I buy it straight from the market, right? So I don't lock in my funds. I'm not subjected to the very slow token release schedule, right? There's nothing wrong, but I prefer to do that, right? And if it's not available on any of the exchanges that I'm familiar with, I don't touch it at all. Okay? So guys, have a good weekend. No, it's not even a weekend, sorry. Have a good Thursday evening. And yeah, I'll see you in the next live video.